Hey, yo, what's up, Internet? This is Andrew, otherwise known as Drewicious. Welcome to my basement. We're going to be going over some weekly charting, quick review of last week. I will throw some ideas out for this week, and we're going to try and make it short and sweet. I always say that, but this time I mean it. What do we need to get into today? We're going to start with a recap, but before we get to that, I do need to ask you guys, do me a favor, hit the like button if you wouldn't mind. Lets me know that my time is well spent here, and helps other people get these fantastic alerts. I think they're good. You'll probably agree, I hope. Let's find out how we did last week, shall we? We're going to jump over here. If you can read this, guys, I know I can, but my screen is much larger. A quick review from Friday. We had a couple of decent hits there. Enphase went for 400%, NVIDIA for 80%. Wayfair went for 65, UPST for 50, and Roku went for 125%. I do have, I'm still swinging BMY, so I don't know if that's a win or a loss yet, but I'm feeling pretty decent about it so far. So that will, time will tell on that one. But if BMY does end up working out okay, that would make it pretty much a perfect day for the alerts on Friday. No losses, and just, I think, one skip. So great day on Friday. A quick review of the week last week. We made some, in this video last week, threw a bunch of alerts out there for a number of them. Some of them, look, not all alerts are going to work. This definitely wasn't 100%, but Apple ran for a peak of 35%. PDD actually stayed fairly flat for the week. I was a little disappointed. I expected them to do some jumping around, but I'm sure we'll catch them soon. Tesla ran 40% at peak. AR ran 35% at peak. Philip Morris reversed on me, so that was a loss, and that is going to happen. Oxy ran for 65%. X was the star of the week, I believe, at 560%. That one ran from 15 cents to 85 cents at peak. So that was a beautiful play. Costco stayed about flat. Cat ran 180%. Enphase ran, let me see here, second phase. Oh yeah, Enphase on Friday ran great. But for the weekly calls only ran for 25%. Amazon ran 115%. Avgo, Broadcom, they ran for 20%, NVIDIA for 100, and Airbnb for 375. So all in all, guys, a really decent week. And by the way, these are just a reminder, those are only the alerts that fired. So if you are following my alerts on the Discord or on Twitter at Drewicious, you too can get these results if you are following the alerts and playing according to the rules on Drew's Basement. That is up to you. All right, so with that review out of the way, we can jump into what we're looking at this week. In the background here, I've got up my standard view here on 4 different time charts. We're going to take a quick look at the list that I have in this week. I will post this on Discord as well, so if you can't read them here, I'm sorry, in Discord and Twitter as well. So if you can't read them here, don't worry about it. Just follow me on Twitter and you'll get a hold of everything there. But on the list this week, it's a relatively long weekly list, I guess, not all that different. But on here we got Tesla, Oxy, BMY still on there following the swing from last week, GE, Chevron, PayPal, Square, let's see here, Roku, Starbucks, Procter & Gamble, Microsoft, JPM, Wells Fargo, Coin, Rivian, Futu, FCX, TSM, AMD, ZOM, and Meta. So that's ExxonMobil. So a fairly long list. We're going to try and bounce through the charts relatively quickly. I will describe what I'm looking at. You guys can decide which setups are the ones that you are most interested. So let's start at the bottom and make our way through it. Here in Meta, we're zooming in here. We've got an inside day. We're up close. We have cleared out a bunch of resistance here. And if we get over that level, we've got some room to run here. So I'm looking for a break of 137.75 for confirmation to the upside. So keep an eye on that level here for ExxonMobil. They are approaching all-time highs here, or at least local highs. I don't know if that's all-time. Let's take a quick look here. Yeah, that might be all time, at least for the last 3 years. So they are up there and doing it. So they're getting real close up here. They broke out of this consolidation. They're getting right up top here. There's definitely room to go on the RSI. MACD is just crossing here. So there's definitely room to run here if oil continues to the upside. It was also an inside day. So we have some interesting stuff there going on above 113.75 on AMD. We have been consolidating pretty nicely over here. We're getting back around. We've got an outside-inside setup, so I'm looking for a break to the upside on that. This is also a very important level, so we very well may reject off of this, but if we cross over this line around 72, 71.75 is the level I've got set here. If we flip this and we're able to hold 72, we can see a nice move to the upside here if there's some continued recovery on tech. Don't hold your breath, but it is definitely a possibility. Now, same sector, different ticker. I went the other direction on TSM, not because I'm bullish on one and bearish on the other. It's just that the setups are complementary for a move down and a move up. So I am picking TSM to go the other way. This one sold near the top here, but I'm interested in this gap down below. And there's also a bit of a supply zone up here according to this upper wick. So if this does reverse and come back down, I'm looking to play this gap, and there's actually a gap sandwich here. There's a gap above and a gap below. So this may not be the week for it. I will probably leave this alert up as a swing whenever they do get back around of closing this area down. I will be looking for this down to about 78, maybe 75. So keep an eye on TSM. FCX, I've had on the list here for quite a while. I've been expecting a pullback in China. It looks like we may be getting close to having that. We got a little bit of consolidation. It could just be getting ready to pull, but if we break this level here, we got an inside bar. If we break this level here, we may see a little bit of a flush to the downside. So that's what I'm keeping an eye out on because China has been running so hot. Futu has been all over the place, super volatile. It's been and it had just some massive moves here on the way up and on the way down. We've got this big gap that we've started to fill here. I am looking for continuation here. We can see that we had a strong day here, above average volume. I mean, nothing compared to these days over here, but nonetheless, you can see that we still have some gap left to fill here. So I am looking for some continuation here. We just need to beat these moving averages here. I don't actually think that those are a thing we need to worry about. These are just the ones that I pay attention to, not necessarily everybody else. Maybe, 20 and the 50, they're not uncommon. So, but at either rate, we do need to get above the top of this candle in order to start closing that down. And this has been a very volatile ticker. So it is definitely capable of putting some moves on tape. Rivian, I'm already swinging this one. I'm still interested in this one and a little bit of a play to the upside. This could be a potential double bottom here. It could also continue selling off, but we're so oversold right now. We've just been cruising down here in the gutter of RSI. So that's not proof that we can't continue sliding down, but it does look like we might be attempting to gain some footing here for a move up. So I'm looking for a reversal there. As I mentioned, I'm already in that one for a swing long. I think in the middle of February is my current expiry. Coin went on a rampage this week with Bitcoin. Bitcoin had more news over the weekend. So we definitely can continue to see some move up here. As you can see, this particular alert is actually set below the high, so I'm actually waiting for Bitcoin to cool off. I'm not saying that's going to happen tomorrow, but I do think it will happen eventually. So I'm going to keep an eye on these things. If Bitcoin does continue running hard this coming week, play coin to the upside, and then when that starts to wear out a little bit, maybe then we'll start looking for some downside. So I'm just kind of getting a marker in place here in case it starts to reverse when I'm not paying attention. Wells Fargo, we do have ER coming up on, let me see here. Yeah, nope, I'm sorry. They already had ER. My bad. That was on the 13th. They had a beautiful bullish engulfing candle here to the upside. So I'm looking for continuation here off of that massive move. We had a lot of good financial sector news. If the ERs continue nicely this week, we can definitely see some continued upside there in one of the more bullish sectors that has been running as of the last couple months. Similar type of setup here for JPM, except JPM has already cleared all the local highs. And in fact, we're now competing with traffic back here from March of 22. So almost a year ago, we're starting to get back up to those levels. So I am long on JPM as well. I think also with February expiration. So I'm handily up in those at the moment, and I definitely think that we can see continued upside on this again if we see good ERs going on in the financial sector. Microsoft, I'm super interested in this one, guys, for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have ER coming up on the 24th. Number two, we had an inside day. Number three, we had an inside week. So Microsoft is ready to do something. You can see that all of the moving averages are getting tangled up here. It looks like we're just starting to coil up. TTM and MACD are both getting ready to curl. We got plenty of room on RSI. We are ready for a move in one direction or another. But as I mentioned, I've got 4 levels set on this one. I've got a break of the inside parent candle for the daily and a break of the weekly. So if we see some moves here, I may actually take a strangle on this one into ER. I need to do a little bit of factoring on this one to find out what the implied move is as we get a little bit closer, but we're far enough out right now that starting to grab, and I think implied volatility is kind of on its way down, so we'll look to see if we can get this down a little bit lower over the course of the week. With an ER coming up, it's probably going to start going back up, but I will be looking for bargains on puts and calls. I am guessing probably something in the neighborhood of a $5 to $10 strike zone in order to start to wiggle into a green position before we get to that ER and hopefully ride the implied volatility up, cut a couple of them, leave a couple of runners for the event itself. And I think Microsoft has a good shot of doing something pretty interesting with that ER. Procter & Gamble, I have these guys on here. They are sitting at a very important level here. You can see that as far back as it looks like the beginning of December, we're kind of starting to threaten the lows all the way back through December. If we continue this curl, you can see we're starting to slip below the 20-day moving average here. If we do break below this support, we can definitely start to tumble a little bit. We also have an ER coming up. This is a very slow mover. It's a low beta, relatively low mover every day. So this could be a great swing with that ER coming up. Implied volatility is relatively low right now, as it should be with the relatively low beta ticker. So this one may also present a very interesting opportunity for a strangle heading into ER. We'll see how that one plays out as well. Starbucks, I've been waiting for this one to pull back. I think I left this one on here because it is getting up high and we are starting to approach their ER as well on the 2nd. We had a bullish engulfing day on Friday, so I keep waiting for these guys to pull back. They are really up here getting into the overbought territory, but they just won't quit. So at some point, I do believe they'll have to let go a little bit or at least start to flatten out as they head into the ER here. So I have not taken a position. I haven't even necessarily formulated a plan yet on this one, but I'm keeping it on the list here, and I guess I'm sharing it with you guys right now. Roku, I threw this one on here. Why did I throw this one on here? I need to look at my own notes to see what we put this one on here. I didn't put an alert on here for any reason. I think I threw this one on. We had an above average volume here on this outside bar, and then we had some move up here. I'm expecting continuation above this bar. It was a very strong close on a ticker that has been really pretty beat down. As you can see, the implied volatility is starting to curl the other direction. So we don't have any events coming up here for a bit. So I don't know that this is like my favorite play of the week, but I think it's worth keeping an eye on if there is a bit of a tech recovery. All right, Square in the financial sector. I'm interested both in Square and PayPal for the same reason that I'm interested in JPM. And Wells Fargo, with the sector having a lot of catalysts this week. These guys have the ability to do something. You can see with Square, we had an outside dragonfly and inside candle day, both with pretty decent volume. Friday was a little bit lower than Thursday, but you can see that we had a really nice volume and a good spread on that candle. So I am looking to break over the top of this range. That clears out several other structures here with just these two dojis sitting up here near the top. But once we get above those, we have the ability to make some moves up here if the good news continues coming in for that sector. Same type of setup here for PayPal, and honestly almost the same exact setup here. We have a outside hammer and another inside candle here, kind of getting into a mess of lines here. So there's a lot of consolidation going on, but as you can see, the MACD is starting to cross the zero line. TTM squeeze is already on its way up. So if we get some more good news, this thing can definitely produce a nice move to the upside as well. Chevron coming out of the oil sector. There's been great great consolidation in here. I'm looking for a break of this triangle as it pulls together. You can see we're getting tighter and tighter in here. So I am keeping a very close eye on this one. I don't have anything marked off on it yet, but I will more than likely start to set some alerts here just on the outside of these, outside of the triangle, looking for a break, and I'll be looking for a strong break. You guys have heard me talk about strength or conviction before. So strength is going to be high volume, or conviction is a break and a retest and a hold of that level. So if I see either one of those two, I will be looking to play continuation in that direction if the oil sector continues going in that direction. All right, GE, I'm interested in this one largely just because it has been on a tear. We do have ER coming up here. It has gone up, what is that? That would be 33% since the middle of December. So in a month, it has gone up 33%, just a ripper on, and this is a relatively, I mean, it's not a low beta ticker, but it is not a quick moving ticker. So it moves about $2 per day. So it has been on the move, and it is extremely overbought right now. Now that does not mean that it can't continue going over, but we are getting close to a trend line up here. And we are well over some of these trend lines down here. So I'm looking for a pullback at some point. I don't expect that this can just continue rocketing up until the ER, but I don't know. I mean, if there's amazing news or something going on, I'm not actually sure how it's managed to sustain this particular move this long. So somewhere in here, I do expect a pullback. I am keeping an eye on it for that, similar to the play that I have going for, who is it that I was talking about earlier, waiting for a pullback on, wasn't JPM. Starbucks, that's who we were talking about. BMY, I mentioned this one earlier. I've already, this was an alert from last week. I was looking for this structure right here as we broke through, came back up and retested, and then broke back above this trend line. So I'm looking for continued movement upwards on this one. If you guys are interested in this one as well, it is a relatively low beta ticker, which means it's going to go very slow, and it's going to lag behind the other markets, but that means that it can make and you can see these moves are very slow and predictable. So if we do see continued upside here, this could be a nice swing into February or March if you're into lower stress plays. Oxy, same story as the rest of the energy sector. It has been up here. There was an inside day. We're looking to break over some local highs here. So if we can break over the supply zone, we can see a nice move up here. And finally, Tesla, I am zero interest in playing this one for the ER that is coming up. You can see the implied volatility is really, really high, which means the premiums are going to be pretty juiced, but it's still fun to play during the day for scalp. So you can see that we had a lot of narrow range days coming in here after we came down and bounced off of, we had a confluence of about 3 different trend lines all came together, which is right where it planted its foot and decided to have a nice rebound. I remember talking about that one in the Discord a little bit. So after a big move up, we've kind of gone sideways a little bit here, and we slipped back down, we gapped down and continued to make a move up. So we're really kind of hanging in here. I'm looking for a break of 126 for continuation to the upside, and I would say probably if I see something go below like 115 or so, I'll probably potentially be interested for a move to the downside. So that is the list for this week, everybody. I hope that you found a play in here that you find useful. If you're interested in getting daily alerts or you have questions for me, you can hit me up on Twitter at Drewicious, or you can go to drewsbasement.com and fill out the form there, or you can leave a comment here on YouTube. I don't know which one of these things. I try to keep an eye on all of them. So that is all I got for you this week, guys. I hope you have an awesome, awesome market week, and I will look forward to chatting with y'all very soon. Take care.